In the world of professional wrestling, you've got icons, and then you've got legends. Icons give us moments we'll never forget. But legends? They change the entire game. This isn't just the story of one superstar, though. It's the story of 100 different journeys, 1,000 sacrifices, all poured into the life of one man. It's the soul of every single person who ever stepped through those ropes, chasing a dream of immortality. For our story, we'll call him Jax Riley. Now, you won't find his name on a Hall of Fame plaque, but his journey is carved right into the heart of WWE. It's a story of grit, guts, and glory, and it's one that has to be told. Long before 20,000 people were screaming his name, and way before he ever felt championship gold around his waist, there was just silence. A deafening, terrifying silence in a moment that should have killed his dream before it even had a pulse. It was broken by a doctor's cold, sterile words, a diagnosis that was basically a death sentence for a career in the ring. This is the story of how a broken kid from a town nobody remembers refused to hear the word no and became a ring legend. Every legend has an origin story, and Jax Riley's didn't start under the bright lights of a stadium. It started on the greasy floor of a garage, where he worked 60-hour weeks changing oil just to put gas in his car and drive to a beat-up wrestling school 3 towns over. Like so many others, that dream was the only thing he really owned. He took any job he could find, bouncer, limo driver, you name it, just to scrape together enough cash for training. He ate cheap, slept less, and poured every last drop of himself into learning the craft. His first trainer was a guy named Sarge O'Malley. Sarge wasn't a world-famous name you'd see in the headlines. He was a mix of the toughest, most unforgiving trainers in the history of the business. Think Stu Hart or Killer Kowalski. These were men who believed respect wasn't given. It was beaten into you. Sarge's gym was a dungeon. There were no padded mats, just worn-out canvas stretched over solid wood planks. The training was brutal, designed to make you quit. He'd push guys until they threw up, and then he'd push them even harder. But in Jax, he saw a little flicker of fire, a stubborn refusal to give up that reminded him of the old-timers. "The ring doesn't care about your feelings," Sarge would bark, his voice like gravel. "It only cares what you're willing to give. And right now, you ain't giving it enough." Day in and day out, Jax took the beatings. He learned how to fall, how to sell a punch, and most importantly, how to tell a story without saying a single word. He'd drive home every night, his body screaming at him, every muscle on fire, only to get up and do it all over again the next day. For 2 years, he sent out tapes to every wrestling promotion he could find. The only thing he got back was silence, or worse, a form letter rejection. They told him he didn't have the look. He was too small, not marketable. The same dismissals that were once thrown at some of the industry's biggest icons. Just when that dream was starting to feel like a fantasy, the call finally came. It wasn't the big time, not yet. It was a developmental contract with Florida Championship Wrestling, or FCW, the gritty forerunner to today's polished NXT. To Jax, it was the entire world. He packed his whole life into one suitcase and drove down to Tampa, a city swarming with hungry, desperate athletes all fighting for the same handful of spots. Developmental was a shark tank. It was a world of politics, of trying to get seen by the right people without pissing off the wrong ones. Jax crammed into an apartment with 3 other wrestlers, their lives a constant loop of gym sessions, promo classes, and live shows in front of small but deeply critical crowds. He watched guys with incredible talent get fired for one mistake, while others who just looked the part got pushed to the moon. He learned quick. Talent isn't enough. You need an unbreakable will to survive. Slowly but surely, he started to build a reputation. His matches felt real. They felt intense. The fans connected with his blue collar. Every man's struggle because they could see it wasn't an act. After 2 years of grinding it out in the Florida heat, he got the call. He was going to the main roster. His debut was quiet, a mid-card match on SmackDown. But he made every second count. His work in the ring was sharp, and his passion was impossible to ignore. Over the next year, he clawed his way up the card, earning the respect of the veterans in the locker room. He was right on the edge of a breakthrough, with rumors flying around about a major title shot at the next pay-per-view. And then, in a blink, it was gone. It was a Tuesday night taping, sold-out arena. A standard match. Jax went for a high-risk move off the top rope, something he'd done 1,000 times. But this time, something went wrong. He landed badly. A sickening twist of his body sent a jolt of pure agony through his neck. The referee immediately threw up the X, the universal sign for a real injury. The match was stopped. The roar of the crowd just vanished. As the medical team carefully strapped him to a stretcher, the dream that had fueled him for years felt like it was dying right there on the canvas. The diagnosis was a nightmare. Multiple herniated discs in his neck, pressing right up against his spinal cord. The doctors told him he was lucky he could still walk. They told him his wrestling career was over. The physical pain was one thing, but the pain in his soul was so much worse. Everything he had sacrificed for, everything he had bled for, was just ripped away. For months, he was a ghost. In WWE, an injured wrestler is often kept off screen to make a potential return feel that much bigger. Jax fell into a dark place. The silence of his apartment was a brutal reminder of the roaring crowds he'd lost. The company kept paying him, but he felt like a forgotten man, a footnote in wrestling history. But that fire Sarge O'Malley saw all those years ago, it wasn't out. It was just an ember, waiting for a little oxygen. He thought about all the rejections, the years in that garage, the promise he'd made to himself. He refused to let this be the end of his story. The road back was hell. It didn't start with lifting weights. It started with just learning to turn his head without feeling blinding pain. It was a slow, frustrating grind of physical therapy, made up of tiny victories that only he could see. He watched wrestling from his couch, studying, analyzing, letting that hunger build inside him. He saw other guys winning the titles he was supposed to be fighting for, and it just hardened his resolve. After a solid year of relentless rehab, he was cleared for non-contact training. The first time he stepped back into a WWE ring wasn't in front of thousands. It was alone, in the quiet of the performance center. He took his first bump. His body screamed, but his spirit soared. He was back. The company had mostly written him off, but Jax kept working, getting stronger, and waiting for the right shot. That shot came at the Royal Rumble. The countdown timer hit 0 for the coveted number 30 spot. The arena was electric, and then the music hit. His music. The crowd exploded in a tidal wave of shock and raw emotion. Jax Riley was back. He didn't win the match that night, but he won something much more important, a second chance. His comeback story connected with everyone. It was pure, unfiltered resilience. Over the next few months, he wasn't just another mid-carder. He was an inspiration. His journey led him right to WrestleMania, where he finally got the championship match he'd been denied a year and a half before. In front of 80,000 people, after a brutal 30-minute war, he locked in his signature submission hold. The champion tapped out. The bell rang. As the referee handed him the World Heavyweight Championship, Jax Riley fell to his knees, tears carving paths down his face as he held the gold high. It was a moment of pure, unscripted triumph, the kind of moment that builds a legacy. A wrestler's journey is one of the toughest in all of sports, full of unbelievable highs and crushing lows. If this story of resilience fired you up, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of wrestling legends. And drop a comment below. Let us know which wrestler's comeback story inspires you the most. Jax Riley's story is a testament to the heart of a champion. It's a powerful reminder that legacies aren't just built on wins and titles. They're forged in the fire of failure, in the lonely hours of rehab, and in the stubborn belief that a moment of silence can't ever defeat a lifetime of heart. He represents the very soul of this business, the idea that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you get back up. You keep fighting until your dream is real. That's what makes an icon. And that is what makes a legend.